This is Travel Tuesdays. Every Tuesday we present you with another incredible country. Today we're looking at 15 things you didn't know about South Korea. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, welcome to another exciting original video brought to you by Alux.com. In this video we're going to discover 15 facts about South Korea. The country of South Korea was born August 17, 1948 after World War II. The Japanese occupation with Soviet soldiers moving into the northern area was known as the 38th parallel, while U.S. soldiers moved into the south. Today, South Korea has the highest education in Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development than any other country. South Korea's population increased by 182,223 in a single year. As of 2018, South Korea's population has reached a little over 51 million and currently makes up 0.67% of the world's total population. 41,740,471 of that population lives in urban areas, which accounts for 81.6% of the country's population. The first official census was taken in 1949, showing that there was little over 40 million people at the time. And a fun fact, they're workaholics. But let's cut to the chase, shall we? If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. Here are 15 things you didn't know about South Korea. Number 1. South Korea claimed its independence. In 1950, South Korea took its independence, and because of this proclamation, and on June 25th of the same year, North Korea invaded. This marked the beginning of the Korean War. In 1953, a truce was struck, but not before there was a disturbing loss of life. It would take decades for South Korea to rebuild, but rebuild they did, and eventually they became home to one of the largest technology companies in the world, Samsung. Number 2. They're known for their booming economy. There are lots of things that South Korea is widely known for. They gave us tasty food like kimchi and beautiful sights such as North Seoul Tower. However, this country thrives in the economic sense. They introduced the world to top-name technology brands with LG and Samsung. 50% of all Samsung cell phones are created in Vietnam, and between the two plants there, they have combined an annual of 240 million units. Samsung doesn't just specialize in cell phones, though. They also produce helicopters, engines, cars, ultrasound machines, household appliances, and many more. Number 3. The South Korean island Jeju-do has a dark past. One of the most popular vacation hotspots in South Korea is the island of Jeju-do. It's the picture-perfect destination with Halla Mountain and Sunrise Peak. However, this beautiful place wasn't always so beautiful. In 1948-49, South Korea massacred 30,000 people in order to stop an attempted uprising, while 40,000 fled for their lives to Japan. Among the massacred were women and children. In 2008, mass graves were still being discovered. Despite its dark history, it was once named as one of the new 7 wonders of nature. Number 4. It took them only 15 years to eradicate illiteracy. It's not really surprising to know that a good portion of worldwide electronics comes from South Korea. In 1945, shortly after they divided from the North, the economy began to rapidly grow. They already had a very educated population as well as many property rights. This paved the way for them to boost productivity. Once the war was over, the government became involved with education, feeling that everyone needed to be literate. They found an alarming number of people could not read or write. They set forward with a plan to solve this problem, and by 1960, illiteracy was completely eradicated, giving the country yet another leg up over several other countries. Number 5. The richest man in South Korea is Lee Kun-hee, with a net worth of $13.3 billion. Being the third-generation chairman of the Samsung Group definitely has its perks. Lee Kun-hee is one of the most well-known and powerfully influential men in South Korea. Samsung is responsible for 20% of South Korea's economy. Lee's subsidiary company, Samsung Electronics, is a branch of the mother company, Samsung Group, and is the largest information technology company in the world. In 2017, Samsung had $174 billion in sales, making $19 billion in profits, and had over $217 billion in assets. This set the market cap for Lee's company at $254 billion. If you want to learn some more about Samsung, you can check out our profile on the company by clicking in the top right corner. Number 6. The darkest time in South Korea's history. June 25, 1950 was the beginning of a war that would only last for 3 years, but would go down in history as one of the most notable wars. It happened when 75,000 troops from North Korea marched across the 38th parallel. The results of this war were astonishing and crippled economies on both sides. The death toll was harrowing, as it reached an estimated 1.5 million total deaths of both Chinese and South Koreans. There was an agreement signed by both countries, but it was technically a ceasefire until the two countries could find some common ground and a way to find peace. However, it's been 63 years, and the two countries are still technically at war. Number 7. No stranger to scandal. It comes as no shock to learn that, like so many other countries, South Korea isn't immune to scandal. In 2016, a South Korean scandal revolving around its first female president was brought to light. However, the seed for scandal was planted decades before she took the powerful seat. Lee Kun-hee became the stand-in First Lady of South Korea when her mother was killed by a North Korean assassin. In 1979, her father was assassinated as well. Pak was convicted due to the belief she was giving Choi, her top advisor, sealed state documents. This remains as one of South Korea's largest scandals to date. Number 8. South Korean comfort women were used as sexual slaves by Japanese troops. Comfort women were women who were put into slavery to provide sexual services for military personnel in the Japanese armies. It's been estimated that 200,000 women were involved, but it could be many more. While comfort women came from several countries, most of them came from South Korea. These women were typically held in brothels called comfort stations. These comfort stations started in the late 1800s but became more popular from 1932 until 1945. In some cases, women were coerced under false pretenses. However, others were taken from families who were poor or lived in conditions that their lives were in danger. The Japanese denied allegations of such stations until 1991, when a group of surviving women came forward, breaking their silence after so many years. Number 9. Korea isn't just about the hustling and bustling cities. While the architecture in the capital of South Korea is truly something to marvel at, there is something that lies just outside of the cities. Lush jungles and towering mountains create a picture-perfect place to forget about the rest of the world. Over 64% of South Korea is covered by forest. There are a total of 8 mountains surrounding the capital. Visitors can visit the ski resort during the wintertime and simply breathe in the calming beauty and peace around. From the ski resort of Pyeongchang, visitors can behold several beautiful Buddhist temples. They can also take in a sunset from one of the most beautiful places on Earth. There aren't just lush jungles and breathtaking mountains. There's also 2,413 kilometers of coastline, with more than 3,000 tiny islands offshore. Number 10. The chairman of Samsung owns not 1, but 5 of the most expensive houses in the country. We've already talked a little bit about Lee Kun-hee, the chairman of Samsung. It comes as no surprise that he owns the most expensive house in all of South Korea. In fact, he owns the 5 most expensive houses. His main residence is in Yongsan-gu, Seoul. And an interesting fact about this home, an elevator was installed after Lee had a heart attack 5 years ago. It was installed with the belief that it would help to speed up his recovery. His primary home is worth an estimated $19.51 million US. The second home he co-owns with his eldest daughter and is worth $18.6 million US. Lee and his wife also own a $13.9 million US home in the same neighborhood, as well as a home in Jeonggu and Gangnam-gu, both estimated to be worth $11.9 million US. And if you want to check out some more expensive homes, click in the upper right-hand corner to check out our top 10 most expensive homes in the world. Number 11. South Koreans are the world's top trendsetters. South Korean culture is a culture that is hard to fathom unless you're there. This includes the current trends in fashion, music, television, and even the big screen. Things like fashion often change frequently. Currently, the raving trend in the South Korean fashion world is long skirts. These skirts use light fabric, sometimes sheer, and will be trending all the way through summer. People all over the country's capital are seen sporting these chiffon-style skirts and can often be seen wearing a sheer or lace top to match. Another booming trend taking South Korea by storm is Szechuanese food. Food has forever been a fascination with South Korea, but they've been limited to a Korean-style Chinese food. Now, this spicy delicacy is making its way through restaurants countrywide. South Koreans also started the glass skin trend, a trend that gives the face a perfect, glassy, slightly wet look. Number 12. The North and South finally agree on something. While the Korean War has been on for over 65 years, there's no hiding the animosity that North Korea and South Korea have for one another. Yet they were finally able to agree on reuniting families that were separated by the war 6.5 decades ago. While these reunions are temporary, they will take place at Diamond Mountain Resort in North Korea. The reunions will last 6 days. This isn't the only reunion that has been held, though. They have been held on and off since the early 2000s. There were 132,000 South Koreans that applied to attend the reunion. Of that number, 75,000 have passed away. Most of the aging applicants are in their 80s and 90s and are not still sure if their loved ones are alive. Number 13. Almost 80% of the country has a smartphone. South Korea is one of the most plugged-in countries in the world. It houses one of the top tech companies in the world, Samsung, and of the 51 million people currently living in South Korea, over 78.5% are plugged into smartphones. Like a clear majority of the world, South Koreans utilize their smartphones to watch real-time TV, pay bills, go shopping, and scan QR codes in the world's first virtual supermarket. In 2015, the motor company Hyundai launched the first car that could be started with a smartphone. Number 14. South Korean men spend more money on cosmetics than men worldwide. In South Korea, women aren't the only ones crazy about makeup. South Korean men are reported to purchase more cosmetics than men in any other country in the world. In a country that is obsessed with beauty, it's estimated that the cosmetic sales have reached $7 billion per year, with men using more than any other nation in the world. On average, men purchase up to 12 cosmetic items a month, and women purchase 27. Not only are South Koreans crazy about cosmetics, but 90% of the seaweed used around the world comes from South Korea. Seaweed is used in everything from food to beauty treatments. South Korea also has the highest plastic surgery rate than any other nation in the world. Many young people between the ages of 16 and 24 have reported to have some type of reconstructive surgery. Number 15. They pulled themselves out of poverty by betting on technology. Over 60 years ago, South Korea had nothing to contribute to the world. However, as the decades began to pass and the rise of technology, automobiles, and modern concepts came to be, South Korea has quickly risen to the top of the economic food chain. With brands such as Samsung, Hyundai, LG, and a quickly growing entertainment industry, they're taking the globe by storm. They're among the world's top technologically advanced countries. Their main economic strong suits are electronics, steel, and communication, with crops being only 2% of the nation's GDP. The GDP, or gross domestic product, is worth $1.378 trillion, and the nominal GDP is $37,900 per capita. And that was it for today, Aluxers. Now we're curious to know, have you visited South Korea? Is it on your bucket list? Let us know in the comments. And as always, for sticking with us all the way to the end, here's your bonus fact. Number 16. There's an entire erotic theme park for you to enjoy. Yes, you heard that right. On the island of Jeju-do, there's a sex theme park called Jeju Love Island. The park boasts statues shaped like phalluses, as well as exhibits on the cycle of masturbation. In the early days, newlyweds would show up on the island knowing almost nothing about sex. There were hotel employees that offered tips, advice, and their expertise. As you can imagine, it quickly became a hub for sex education. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to Alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.